So I think that there's a lot that is impacting our young people, and it impacts our gender, our students, socialization, habits in terms of play, developing friends, learning how to deal with frustration, going outside. I think a lot of those things are changing because kids are now more insular and focused on the technology instead of focusing on this wonderful, bright world that we have in front of us with all the challenges. It's a beautiful world, and our kids are missing it because their faces are immersed in their phones.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, I'm Dr. Monique Darrisaw-Akil, and I'm the superintendent of the Uniondale Union Free School District located in Long Island, New York, and we have 6,241 students in 8 schools.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today as we talk about keeping kids safe on social media so they can be successful someday. For all of our audience, we love you no matter whether you're a parent or a superintendent or anyone in between, especially you guardians out there, you grandparents who are helping to nurture your kids and to help them navigate this new digital world we all live in. And for those of you listening only online, I'm holding up an iPhone or an Android because these devices are really a new world that we didn't grow up with. So Superintendent, I'm excited to ask you a few questions as we help kids stay safe so they're successful. And along the way, we teach a lot of kids how to shine online. Yeah, these new tools are all about building that new resume. When you're using them correctly, they can help you get that dream job, career, internship, and launch you into the future. So, my first question for you, Superintendent, is I've interviewed 205 or so of your peers as of the time of today's recording in 40 to 41 states across the country. Just love all of our superintendents. And throughout these conversations, we've heard a consistent trend. I'd love your input on this. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world nationwide filled with powerful technology, AI, and social media. But sometimes they lack the maturity and the guidance to use these tools safely. And the result is more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. For all of our audience who's listening, you know that I say this on every episode. There's no shame to this. We are in this together. Smart Social is rooting for you. But, Superintendent, we're hearing nationwide that parents are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where now tech is moving way faster than safety policies. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and sometimes safety lessons can come after a crisis because we don't know what to protect our kids from until it's happening. Superintendent, I love your insights here. Are there any other trends on this topic that you have seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
Yeah, Josh, I think this is such an important topic. And in terms of trends, I think that there is sometimes a codependency between parents and children. So
Mhm.
we're in a world right now where because we have access to social media and because we have access to phones and other devices, everyone wants to know everything immediately. And I think that's why parents are giving their children these very powerful devices at younger and younger ages to keep in touch, to find out what's happening after school. Is there a crisis? And so I think a lot of the safety and the guardrails, really do start at home and making some smart decisions around when do you introduce these tools and why. I think when it comes down to how they're impacting young people once we give it to them, besides the cyberbullying, we're seeing some differences in terms of gender. The impact of social media on girls versus boys. And there's a lot of research that talks about girls and self esteem after being fed constant images of what perfection looks like, what is the ideal, style and appeal. And I think even the rise in fast fashion, that you can't wear the same outfit twice because you've been photographed in it. And that's something that I didn't experience growing up.
Yeah.
But now, I think it would be like horrific for many girls to see themselves photographed in the same outfit. So I think that there's a lot that is impacting our young people, and it impacts our gender, our students, depending on their gender in different ways. With boys, we definitely see a lot more trending towards video games and constantly the constant draw and pull of being engaged on video games and what that means in terms of reading, socialization, healthy habits in terms of play, developing friends, learning how to deal with frustration, going outside. I think a lot of those things are changing because kids are now more insular and focused on the technology instead of focusing on this wonderful, bright world that we have in front of us with all the challenges. It's a beautiful world, and our kids are missing it because their faces are immersed in their phones.
You brought up so many good things. And if you see me taking notes, it's because I'm learning so much from you, Superintendent. We had another superintendent 2 or 3 months ago mention something fascinating that he discovered in his district, which I want to bring up for our listeners. And at first I thought, this is interesting. And then it literally went back to when I was a kid. I went, actually, this is very relevant. He said that they were noticing that the girls' basketball team had dwindling numbers. Kids weren't trying out for the basketball team and they couldn't figure it out. And they started asking the kids, and the girls said, we don't want to be photographed during the practices. It's very vulnerable. And they're videoing us and they're putting us on TikTok and Snapchat. And if we fall, heaven forbid, it's embarrassing and it doesn't go away. Like when we were kids, it was embarrassing for a Friday, and then Monday, it's like, whatever, you fell. So what? Not that many people saw it. But nowadays it goes around and it's embarrassing for these poor kids. And he said it's dwindling, and we didn't know that that was a vulnerability they were worried about. Like, I don't want to play because I don't want to be seen wrong. Is that a trend that you've heard of from, on Long Island,
So
New
that
York?
I think that's very interesting. We haven't experienced that. We do have so many students involved in clubs and extracurriculars, but I have had feedback from students. As a matter of fact, one of my students said, what why don't you guys stop videotaping us and start listening to us? Everything is not for social media.
Mm.
So that is something that we have heard from students that, as much as we think that young people are addicted, I think we're all trying to put our best face forward. And so a lot of our districts are consumed with our PR campaign. And sometimes kids say, we just want to experience this moment and not have every moment of our lives recorded by you guys. So I have gotten that feedback from kids. And I think that's very interesting and something for us to consider.
Yeah, it's just an interesting time and good discussions. Yeah, I wrote down also the codependency thing. I think that's fascinating for future conversations. Okay, great. So, for all of our listeners, you know that we reach a couple million people a year, and parents ask us questions. This is one of the questions we get from one of our listeners during our live events in the evening to help parents navigate this digital world. They say, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger online? Well, rather than answer it, let's hear from a real teen about how she might help a friend recognize red flags if that friend was chatting with someone online they didn't know.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all the little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Now, parents, don't miss our next events. We do giveaways every single week. If your school district is a partner, we have 50 plus parent evening events. You'll see them here on the screen, weekly live parent events and replays from the convenience of your device, whether it's a tablet, a mobile phone, or anything else. And they're in 12 different languages. No one's left behind. We have teen-led presenters in every single one of our programs, lots of them, so you can bring your teens and they won't roll their eyes as much, we hear. Premium parent newsletter. And parents, I want to remind you that on the front of smartsocial.com at any time, because your district is a partner, you can view our latest app guides. We have the best resources on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more. We've got all of our next live events that we want you to come to. You get entered to win automatically, entered for a chance to win if you just attend one of our live parent evening events, and your kids are a lot safer along the way. All right, this is what this looks like in New York, a different part of New York. When you attend the event, here's what happens in the community. You are the one that needs to decide whether it's too much screen time or just right.
But parents and teachers know when it comes to teenagers and social media, that's easier said than done. So, in an effort to protect students from the dangers of being chronically online, schools are doing something you might not expect, asking parents to get online too.
It makes an awareness to parents and students. It also gives them an understanding of some of the warning signs.
That's just one reason why Deron Wilson, an executive director of school engagement, says his district uses the app Smart Social. It's an online app designed to educate parents and students on how to avoid strangers and dangerous situations online.
Kind of like, I want to say, a trap. When you get involved in the cyberbullying, you might start friending somebody on an app, or somebody might say, hey, they might send me your picture.
Smart Social founder Josh Oakes says while there are a lot of things that can and should scare us online, the increased number of parents he is able to reach underscores the importance of growing social gathering spaces online.
Back in the day, I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, but I was flying around to certain school districts, and they're the best of intentions, but only 20 or 30 parents would show up. We get 10 times the amount of parents to show up, and they want to learn from the convenience of their home or office how to keep their kids safe on social media. They want to ask live questions. They want to learn how to have dialogue starters with their kids that actually get their kids excited about talking with their parents and strengthening that relationship.
Darcy Wertique, Spectrum News.
Parents, remember that every single month we have different events, and they're flavored, all different flavors. So when we're going back to school, we've got lots of motivation events in June and July, and August is AI for student success. September is how video apps keep teens watching. October is perhaps the world's largest combating online bullying events. It teaches you positive online behavior and all kinds of other stuff. We hope you'll join us and come on out. Okay, Superintendent, I want to go back to you. During these 205 conversations over the last couple of years of interviewing your peers, learning from all these incredible people, we've heard from communities. We're hearing that many parents feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with the fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks. And there's no shame there to all of our audience. We are here to help. But also we're hearing that students are finding clever ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations during the school year at school differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, I'd love to get your insight on this. What trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
So one of the places where I think parents struggle the most is around information. I do think there's an information gap between parents and students in terms of what is available online. And so parents are just struggling to just try to keep up. What tech tools are available? What are the new apps? A lot of the parents are still on Facebook, but the students are on Instagram and TikTok and Snap and so many other tools. And so parents probably don't even know where their children are going online and what they're doing online. So I think that that's really a challenge for a lot of families. And, how do they partner with schools who are also trying to catch up, but might have a little bit more information about what teens are really into, and how do we support them? I think it's challenging to try to ban these tools from kids. Your kid would be isolated, but how do we stay informed about the guardrails that are available online, the parental guidelines that a lot of these digital social media sites have? How do we utilize them? And how do we talk to our kids about what they're putting online, about themselves, about images they share, about who they communicate with? Like, how do we have those conversations instead of just telling kids don't do it? Because really, there's no way for us to check unless we're on those tools with them.
Yeah, it's so true. You bring up so many good points. And rather than, if we tell the kid, don't touch the hot stove, Superintendent, what do you think they're going to do?
They're going to touch the hot stove. They want to see, is it really hot or just kind of hot? And so I think that's what we do with social media as well. We can't tell kids don't get on, but it is about walking them through it and telling them about, how to have a healthy online presence because let's face it, for work, a lot of us try to maintain a healthy online presence. So it's really important they start building their digital footprint at an early age in a healthy and responsible way. And I think the most important things that parents can know and teach their children is that what we put online never really goes away. And that's the most important thing. So we want to be very careful and responsible about what we put online about ourselves and our families.
Yeah, so true. So true. Superintendent, this has been great. Thank you so much. You're busy today, and we really appreciate you taking the time out to join us.
Thank you.
To all of our audience and listeners, we're here to support you. Remember, whatever you're posting online, to try and keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are modeling your behavior online. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com. Thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.